Henry Ford had once said, "Failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. Without failure, there cannot be success. In life, you need to learn lessons that only come with failure. The idea is to keep moving ahead. Every end only leads to a new beginning." And so, once upon a time, it had been a terrible year. It was as if Mr. Murphy had written his laws with Suzanne in mind. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And it had. The German account closed down. The folly of servicing a single client shone through like snow on a sunny day. Her firm had to file for bankruptcy, goodbye to the perks of a high-flying executive. The investments that she had made did not turn out to be prudent after all. The loss was more than she could afford. Had it not been for Peter, she could have borne it all with a patient shrug. Peter was a pillar of support, her go-to guy, and the man with whom she wanted to grow old. Peter obviously had other plans. The new open letter, ergo the smoking gun, was the text message that lay carelessly undeleted. She caught the one he had sent to Michelle and the one Michelle sent him back. Sex she could have probably forgiven, but she could not forgive him giving his heart to another. It shattered her. She walked away from him. It was New Year's Eve. Everyone she knew was making plans with everyone they loved, and here she was, an out of work, out of savings, and out of love woman. She had to get away from Edinburgh. Grandpa lived in Inverness, the only place in the world where she could overstay her welcome. Grandpa in his time had been the lead guitarist to a forgettable band. The band withered away, but Grandpa's spirit was undefeatable. Suzanne suspected that he really was not a lonely man and had girlfriends tucked away somewhere in the Scottish woodwork. Grandpa lived by the famous Loch Ness. Though he had told her the story of the monster, she had never seen it. Truth be told, her life had been scarier than the Loch Ness monster. She drove in on a cold winter day and found Grandpa waiting for her on the porch. He enveloped Suzanne in the most comfortable bear hug. It made the fatigue of the long drive disappear in seconds. Over some well-curated scotch, Suzanne told her grandpa the story of her woes. Grandpa heard her patiently. He was always a good listener. "I just can't wait for this year to end, Grandpa." "Anyways, just a few hours to go," Susan sighed. Grandpa nodded and smiled. A few minutes later, Grandpa stood up lazily. "I have a package to deliver to a friend. Drive me?" "Sure." Still not drunk enough not to drive, Suzanne said lovingly as she grabbed her keys from her purse. Grandpa picked a cardboard box from the storeroom. It did not seem too heavy. Suzanne rolled the car out of the driveway and waited for Grandpa to give her directions. It was pitch dark, and Susan couldn't see any house in sight. "What's going on, Grandpa? This is not like a spy movie now, is it?" Suzanne teased. Grandpa smiled and gestured for her to follow. They walked down a country path for a minute, and then suddenly They were at the most beautiful spot on the lake. In the blue moonlight, the lake shimmered in front of them, and a wooden jetty extended into the water that boasted a single dull yellow streetlight. It looked like a picture that could sell Scotland to the most reluctant tourist. "What are we doing here, Grandpa?" Grandpa handed the cardboard box to Suzanne and said, "You are delivering a package." Suzanne looked at her grandpa quizzically and then opened the box to find nothing in it. She was even more perplexed. "Now, Suzanne, into this box, place your feeling of inadequacy," Grandpa said with a warm grin. Suzanne began to argue, but Grandpa stopped her with a wave of his hand. "Just do it, my love." Suzanne simply looked into the box and said nothing. "Now into this box, place your feelings of hate and remorse." Susan's eyes welled up with tears. "And while we're at it, also fill it with your unshed tears." Suzanne closed her eyes as the tears rolled down her face. "Also, put in your failings, your misgivings, your broken dreams, your failed relationship, everything you know and think was bad in this year, just put it in the box." Suzanne began to shake with sobs. She did not even know she had so much in her being. "Now, my love, walk down the jetty and deliver the box to the Loch Ness Monster." Susan couldn't move, but Grandpa placed a loving hand on her, the hand of courage. Suzanne began to walk down the jetty, her form racking with her sadness. Grandpa could not fight his tears as he watched his little girl fight the battle called life. Then, under the pale yellow light, he could see her stand with the box for a long while before she kneeled and then let it go into the lake. Her walk back was lighter, quicker. She smiled at him through her tears and hugged him tight. "The new year is just a date, Susie," Grandpa whispered in her ear. "Nothing will change till you don't. To welcome the future, you have to let the past go. However hard it is, the goodbye has to be said."